In the early 2000s, new symptoms of severe panic, anxiety, and a permanent form of PTSD developed, and previous symptoms got worse. Worsening symptoms brought on more prescriptions. Concentration and focus issues brought Adderall. Panic attacks was first treated with lorazepam and eventually clonazepam. These started low and were eventually increased over tenfold. I eventually began taking the equivalent of over 100 Valium per day, and it still wasn't enough. Lamictal, Risperdal, lithium, Prozac, and more were added. My doc basically ran out of drugs to prescribe. The FDA could not keep up with my ever-increasing symptoms. Soon, the toxic cocktail itself rivaled the malady, and the out-of-control amusement park roller coaster was just beginning. I was squarely stuck on the slippery slope of a pharmacology experiment gone wild. As my chorus of doctors said in unison, "It's all in your head." Little did any of us know at the time how true that statement was, however, not in the context it was made. The psychiatrists were doing their best, or so it was believed at the time. Tit-for-tat, action-reaction-based analysis followed up with a blend of chemicals that would suppress the worst of the symptoms. Basically, whack-a-mole therapy. No doctor had ever even tried to search for the actual source of the problem, or even asked more than superficial questions about why this might be happening. Still, I doggedly did as told, believing in the underlying principle of first do no harm. Psychiatry does what it does best: administer drugs to alleviate and compensate for the worst of the symptoms. The attempt was not to cure, but to make the existing condition tolerable. "We can't fix the problem, but we can help you feel a lot better about it," seemed to be the consistent answer. Their job was not to identify the source of the problem, but neither was it for all the other specialists I had seen over the years. No one took responsibility for that. Each specialist had their own narrow view and their own slice of the pie. Adding a psychologist did not help. They too took the side of, well, maybe this is what is wrong with your way of looking at things. The message seemed to be, everything is okay, you just have to see it the right way. Living with this dialogue for many years took its toll. Self-esteem dropped, purpose, identity, all were being systematically destroyed, and no one would even help find out why. Then, on a trip to Maryland in 2004, I suddenly found myself in the emergency room with heart arrhythmias. 3 days of testing showed no signs of a heart attack, but a dark shadow appeared in the tissue of the heart on one of the x-rays. The attending physician finally let me go, but reluctantly after a long, hard, penetrating look of concern. There was one thing for certain. There is something very wrong here, and I could no longer hold back the creeping doubt in the back of my mind that the elephant in the room was being deliberately ignored.